Hello and welcome to Tools to Create a Better Life with myself, Glenyce Hughes. Thank you so much for being here. I am so incredibly grateful for each and every one of you. Now, if you're watching this by video, hi. If you're listening to this on a podcast, hi. It's great to have you here. So for anybody who doesn't know, this is the radio show that has been running since 2013, and in the last few years we've added, of course, the video to it. So you really can access it so many different ways. It's on YouTube, of course. It's on podcast under Tools to Create a Better Life. If you want to search it on your favorite podcast app, you can find it in various groups and on my personal Facebook page. There's probably other places too that I'm forgetting, but just so you know, it's all the places. Oh, the most important place is actually my webpage, glenycehughes.com. There's a thing that says radio show, and it has all of the show notes. So we've been doing this now for a few months, maybe longer, I don't recall. And by we, I mean my magical magician, Erica, who plays in the business with me and just contributes so much. So big shout out to you, Miss Erica. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So the tools to start valuing you. I sent out an email and I'm not sure I've ever had so much response to an email ever before. And in the email, I actually acknowledged me. I actually talked about how I have value for me now. And as many of you know, if you've been hanging around a while, I turned 50 in August. So this has been a long time that I've not been valuing me. Now, with that said, I have been choosing to value me more and more and more and more and more. And in this video, or in this email that I sent out, what I shared was that I had a couple months ago, there was a new acquaintance, a person that we were going to have dinner, and then she canceled the dinner. And my first thought was, wow, she is really missing out. And I mean, wow, for me to have that, and I don't mean like I forced it, like, oh, I should think this way, I need to, no, it was just my, wow, she's really missing out. Now, I don't mean I'm not missing out by not meeting her either. I don't mean it was only a one-way street. It was just like the acknowledgement of me in that moment and what I can be with people, what I be with people, not can be, what I be with people. I am so aware now how much hanging out with me in any way, shape, or form, whether you come to a class or you hang out with me in the pool or you meet me on an airplane or whatever, private coaching, any of it, I am so aware of the value that I bring. And this is huge. This is huge, 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 huge. And so that was what the email was all about. And I had so many people reply just going, oh my gosh. I mean, one, this is really cool and amazing. And some were like, oh, wow, I can, I'm going to keep using the tools to get there. And some was like, wow, can you share more? And I was like, hey, you know what? I actually can. I can do it on a radio show because I wonder how many people would really like to start valuing themselves. Now, with that said, let's talk about that for a moment. When we value ourselves, it does not mean that we devalue anybody else. It's not like, okay, well, now that I'm valuing me, everybody else is crazy or wrong or bad or not valuable. That's not it at all. But if you don't have the people, if you don't have you as your most valuable product, if you don't have you as valuable in your world, then what you end up doing is putting your value into everyone else. You put everybody else on pedestals. You see everybody else as the source. You look outside of you for answers and direction and all the things, rather than valuing you, to know that you are valuable. You have value, you are valuable, and you are valuable on the planet. And if you don't acknowledge that, then chances are you will distract yourself with basically the opposite of that. I'm not valuable. I'm not worthy. I shouldn't be here. Blah, blah, blah. All the things. Yeah. Everything that just brought up. Will you destroy and uncreate at all times a godzillion? Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, PUD, PUC, shorts, boys, povads, and beyonds. So that is the clearing statement from Access Consciousness. You can go to theclearingstatement.com for more information about how it works. But basically what it does is it changes the energy. So as I was talking about that, there was a lot of energy on it. So by running it, it starts to clear it. It doesn't mean you only ever need to run it once. Sometimes we need to do it multiple times, but just to recognize that it is such a phenomenal tool to change things. And it was actually, gosh, probably 7 years ago. And I was in a class with Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness. And I went up to the microphone, and I've asked questions over the years and of Gary in classes, and he referred to me as Glenyce. Now this is something a lot of people, if they read my name, that's usually how they pronounce it. And I'd never corrected him before. And I don't even recall if I corrected him or if somebody else said it. I don't recall what happened. And he just said to me, actually, I think I did. I think he said Glenyce, and I said it's actually Glenyce. And he stopped and he looked at me because, you know, I'd been asking him some questions for years. And he stopped and he looked at me and he was like, why do you not value yourself enough to let me know what your name is? Something like that. And it took me aback because I never saw not correcting somebody as not valuing me. I actually saw it as more, I would say, honoring or lazy maybe. And depending on the person, I mean, and to this day, I don't always correct people. It really depends how much interaction we're going to have. And when I go to like change in dress rooms, like in clothes stores, I will actually, if they ask me my name, because often they'll write it on the door, I'll tell them Kim. It's just for ease for me. But I could see what Gary was saying, not until he said it, how much I wasn't valuing me. Somebody who I talked to not often, but often enough, and I never corrected him until that day. And I really, really, really went into that, not from a judgment of me place, but really looking at that from the curiosity of like, wow, I have not valued me and my name. And my name to me is, I mean, I joke about it a lot. And I love my name. I actually really love my name. I love that I'm almost one of the only Glenyces on the planet. I have heard that there is another one somewhere. There's certainly some people with the same spelling, but it is actually pronounced Glenyce for them. And so I love it. And yet I didn't value me to tell him the correct pronunciation of my name. And so that really, I would say, was probably the start of it for myself. To really start getting present with the places and the ways that I wasn't valuing me. And my favorite question, if you've been around here for a while, you've heard me ask this question a lot. I use it all the time. What I started asking was, what's the value of not valuing me? Like I started just asking that of myself. Like, what is the value of not valuing me? What am I getting out of it? Now, I know that with that question, a lot of times it brings up like this defense of, I do value me. And, you know, people will say, well, there is no value and stuff like that. And I get it. But what you want to do is get really vulnerable with yourself with that question. If this is something you would like to choose more, if you'd like to value you more, what is the value of not valuing you? What's it doing for you? Yeah. So it can be so many things. It could be what you saw your parents do to themselves, or what your parents did to you, or what other people, and all of that. There's all sorts of things that can come up. Ultimately, it doesn't matter what the value is. You just want to acknowledge it. And then if you like the clearing statement, I use the clearing statement to change it. Everything that is, I destroy and uncreate it all. Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, PUD, PUC, shorts, boys, povads, and beyonds. So that's like tool number one. Start getting present with yourself and asking that question, not from judgment, but just from the curiosity of like, what is this? What is the value of what is the value of not valuing me? Now, if valuing you is something that you would like to be choosing more of, I invite you to any, of course, of the classes or sessions that I have. We have another online/in-person foundation coming up September 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th. We also have Business Done Different coming up at the end of October, either in London, England, or online. I have many classes coming up around England. Yes, hubby and I are going to travel around and do some classes and some sightseeing. And of course, so many other classes. I have another bars class coming up September 14th here at the acreage. There's so many choices and possibilities. I also offer 3-week coaching. I offer 3-month coaching. I offer 6-month coaching. There's so many ways to play, and I would love to play with you. If you have any questions about any of those, reach out and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Now, tool number 2 is a little bit similar and not, but it's asking the question of, if I did value me here, what would I choose? So what that does is it starts to get you into the space of what you might choose if you valued you. So let's say you were going out for your birthday dinner with friends and they said to you, hey, where do you want to go? It's your birthday. You get to choose. And you would maybe go straight to, oh no, it doesn't matter. I'm happy to go wherever I like anything. Like maybe that's what you would normally do. Maybe take a moment. Like if I valued me here, what would I choose? If I valued me here, what would I choose? So start asking yourself, looking at those situations or places. Doesn't mean you have to even choose it, but if I was valuing me here, what would I choose? And I used the birthday dinner as an example because that actually came up for me recently when hubby and I finally had an evening to ourselves where we could go for dinner. And it's my birthday dinner, so where did I want to go? I kept thinking of all the places he would like to go. And it was so bizarre, mostly because I didn't really realize that I did that. And maybe it just happened to be that I'm not really sure, but I was so aware of the places he likes to eat. And then I started asking myself, okay, if I valued myself here, what would I choose? And then I started looking around. I actually asked in a Facebook group because there's so many places that we go to often and I wanted somewhere new, and just found this most amazing roast beef buffet, beautiful, oh my gosh, all handmade, homemade. I mean, obviously not the roast beef, but you know what I mean. It was just so delicious that if I wouldn't have been asking that question, I probably would have went somewhere. Still would have been great because I also like the places that hubby likes to go. But just a different energy. It's like, if I was really valuing me here, what would I choose? So if you start asking that question, but not from the place of, I have to choose it. Just ask it from the place of, if I was, if I did. Doesn't mean you have to, and maybe you will, and maybe you won't, but at least you'll start being present with you. You'll start being vulnerable with you. Notice both of these tools have to do with vulnerability and a level of presence. That's because that's what this is. To value you, you have to be willing to be vulnerable with you. You have to be willing to be present with you. Yes. Now, I wanted to read something, and this is from the reference materials from Access Consciousness. And in it, Gary says, if you think it's inconceivable that you would be of value, then you will never value you. If you think it's inconceivable for you to be of value. So anywhere that you've decided it's inconceivable for you to be of value, will you destroy and uncreate all that? Right, wrong, good, bad, all 9, POD, POC, shorts, boys, povads, and beyonds. And then the question that follows that is, what is the value you have to offer that you're not allowing to show up? What is the value that you have to offer that you're not allowing to show up? And value doesn't mean something in the business. It could, of course, but it doesn't have to. It could mean lots of different things. And what if we don't try to define it? What if you just ask that of yourself every day? What is the value that I have to offer that I'm not allowing to show up? So everywhere you're not allowing it to show up, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Oh, right, wrong, good, bad, all 9, POD, POC, shorts, boys, povads, and beyonds. Now, I have another tool, but I want to talk about this book for a moment. This is something called a Rocketbook Fusion. I'm not sure how well you can see it, but these pages are actually erasable. So once I'm done with my notes and stuff, this was for the recent foundation class that I facilitated, I just take a damp cloth that comes with it and I just wipe down the pages and it's gone. And I have used so much paper. I like to take physical notes, like I like to handwrite things when I'm in sessions or classes and all that sort of stuff, but it's not something I would ever keep. So I end up throwing out a lot of paper. Well, recycling, of course. But this book I love so much. So there will be a link for you if you want to check it out. I just think it's magical. The other thing, and I have yet to do it with this book, but you can take and I don't know if you can see it, there's a little QR code there. So you could put something up here, you could write out your day or whatever it is and scan that and it'll actually put it wherever you want. So I've got mine connected to my Google Docs. And so I haven't used it yet because this is mostly just handwritten stuff that I don't need to keep, but I could. And I love it so much. Anyway, I could go on and on, but I wanted to share this because I have it sitting beside me and I just think it's brilliant. So the last tool that I'll talk about, I mean, there's so many tools with valuing you. The last tool is a tool that I use a lot in all sorts of different ways. And this is one of them is that, and this is one that I was using back when I really started looking at valuing me with that experience with Gary. And what I did was I would just sit energetic, like just sit quietly, close my eyes, and energetically, I brought up the energy of not correcting him with my name. So I brought that energy up. And then what I would do was I would run the crazy phrase. So the crazy phrase sounds crazy, hence the name, and it's everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. And you just say it over and over and over like that. But what you want to bring up is that energy first. So right now, just take a moment, bring up a situation or a relationship or somewhere where you know you don't value you. Okay, and I know it feels icky, but let's just run together. So everything is the opposite of what it appears to be. Nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. Everything is the opposite of what it appears to be, and nothing is the opposite of what it appears to be. Now, I find running it a few times and then going back to the energy, it's usually changed, and sometimes it's changed completely. Sometimes it's just changed a little bit. It doesn't matter, but I do want to tap back into it, so to speak, so I'm aware of where it is now. So I just go back to that energy, check in with it. If there's still something there, like a heaviness or an ick with it, then do the crazy phrase over and over. And it's such a magical way to change things that you maybe haven't been willing to or known how to change. And so this isn't where you have to, you're not dissecting it, you're not judging it, you're not doing anything except running the crazy phrase over and over. And the way that I see the crazy phrase work is it's like when you shake up a snow globe and there's all these little pieces of snow going around. Well, obviously not snow, but you know what I mean. And so what I see that as when we're running the crazy phrase is all that solidity. So all the solidity when I wasn't valuing me, all of that solidity starts to break apart and dissolve and totally eliminate and go away. And none of these tools, in my experience, you might have a different experience, but in my experience, none of these tools worked 100% the first time I used it. So it worked in that it changed in that moment. But again, this has been years of me choosing towards valuing me. Doesn't mean it has to take you years. Please be way quicker than me. And when did I start valuing me? Honestly, I'm not really sure. It probably wasn't the moment that gal canceled and I went through, wow, she's missing out. Like it probably wasn't then, it was probably before that. So with this stuff too, we are changing every step of the way. There is change. There is noticeable change. There can be. So celebrate that too. Don't look for it being a certain way or it won't be, you can't celebrate until you have it 100%. I still don't have it 100%. I'm still getting it. I'm still in the process of choosing and changing it. And I'm celebrating where I'm at with it now. And I wonder what else is possible with it that I've never even considered. So I would love to hear from you if you have been valuing you, if you're going to use these tools, or maybe you've been using some tools, let me know. Of course, you can connect with me wherever you're watching this. And if it's via podcast, you can always head to my webpage. There's a contact form there, and just reach out. I'm so incredibly grateful for you all. I look forward to chatting again next week.